Ain't no half stepping. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Back from the break. Getting into the National Basketball Association. Going to dedicate all the music we hearing tonight to President-elect Barack Obama. 44th president. Got another 4 years. You can't touch this, homie. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. We gonna move. I know it was shameless plug, and it was corny, but I have no problem being corny because that's how I roll. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Gonna transition to the National Basketball Association, which is fantastic. Another corny, shameless plug. But we're gonna start off. With your main man, Kdub. What's up, brother? Representing Jersey City in the ATL. What up, man?
What's going on, fellas? Ladies in the studio.
We chilling, man. How you?
I'm good, man. I'm blessed. I'm good, bro.
All right, well, we're going to get right to it. We ain't going to waste no time. We're going to talk about the NBA. We got a couple of things. Ruben's got a question he's going to ask you, and I got one that I'm going to ask you, but we're going to start with you and your opinion. What team right now has got your attention? Who you thinking about right now?
To be honest, I would say Miami because they're the defending champions. They're 5-2 right now. They are. I mean, they just going along, man. What you got to understand what you can understand with Miami is that every night, whenever they go out there, they're going to be playing against a team that wants to take their head off. You know, they're going to get the best of whoever it is that they play. So at this particular point in the season, 5-2 is very good. But once again, similar to last year, man, San Antonio 6-1. And they quietly are going along and being one of the better teams out in the West. You know, they're gonna wind up when it's all said and done being the top four. You have the Clippers that's pretty much at the same with Miami at 5-2 and Oklahoma City at 5-2 as well. So right now it's still early, man. But you know, you always want to keep your eye on the defending champs, and that's Miami Heat.
Well, before we get your opinion on this, I'd like to speak on the new Lakers hiring of that guy because I don't like him and I don't want to say his name.
Mike D'Antoni.
Yeah, he sucks. Former
New York Knicks, former Phoenix Sun, former Denver Nugget coach Mike D'Antoni.
Mitch Kupchak should be fired.
Well, let's get it.
He should be fired today because, first of all, really, Mike D'Antoni, on the short list, you have Mike D'Antoni, the guy who failed in Phoenix. The guy who failed in New York.
Slow down. He ain't failing Phoenix. Just because you didn't win a shit don't mean you're a failure. So don't. I'm not gonna let you do that. I'm not gonna let you do that.
First of all,
I'm not gonna let you do that.
First of all, the dude never got out of the second round in Phoenix.
Doesn't make you a failure. It doesn't make.
They got out of the second round.
They got to the conference finals.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. The conference finals mean stuff now.
Yeah, the conference finals.
Actually, it means nothing unless you get to the finals.
Listen, I'm not gonna let you call him a failure.
You can. Whatever.
All right, go ahead.
I don't care.
I don't mean to take your shine. Go ahead, man.
It's not my shine. It's what it is. The man can win the regular season, but he can't win the playoffs. It's that simple. He went to New York. Oh, I had to listen for a whole year and a half about how much y'all hate Mike D'Antoni. And now you're going to sit here and defend the dude? Nah, I'm not allowing that.
I'm not defending him.
Mike D'Antoni is not a good coach. Why he's not a good coach? He doesn't teach defense. Great. So you put the most offensive mind in L.A., with a team that doesn't play a lot of good defense. Oh, well, welcome New York Knicks Square 2.0. It's going to be horrible. The only way he can even redeem himself from me is he win a chip. Other than that, he's a failure to me. I think it was horrible, and I think it was even worse that you had the nerve to call Phil Jackson at midnight to be like, you didn't get the job. Really?
Well,
I mean, you didn't wait till Monday like you told him?
I don't want to check you on your facts, but they did meet with Phil on Saturday.
They met with him Saturday.
And they negotiate with him. Those negotiations fell apart.
Correct.
And so they called Mike D'Antoni on the heels of that.
Correct.
And offered him the job on the spot.
And
that's how that went.
And they also said they would give him till Monday. They would give Mike Jackson till Monday. So, with all that, Dub, am I right or wrong?
I mean, to be honest, you're somewhat right. You're 50-50. Here's my perspective on it. From what I understand, they interviewed Mike D'Antoni and Mike Dunleavy on Saturday, and both of those individuals left the interviews thinking that basically it was Phil Jackson's job. Once Phil, I guess, whatever the chimes were going out that Phil was going to take it, I think that the strike between him and the Buss family came up, and they probably shut it down. A lot of people were saying that when they went to bed last night that it was basically Phil Jackson's job, and you wake up this morning and Mike D'Antoni is the head coach. I also heard that once Phil Jackson would have gotten word that these are the stipulations that he wanted, I think that LA was kind of against it because you have to keep in mind Phil Jackson wanted some type of control over the team as well as he wouldn't be able to go to all of the games. If I'm not mistaken, it would be pretty much all of the home games and only some of the road games. So with D'Antoni, you got a coach that is familiar with your stars on your team. You got Steve Nash, Kobe Bryant, as well as Dwight Howard. He's matching up with Steve Nash again, and Steve Nash should just be an extension of the floor. Something that I told Marcus earlier was that when it's all said and done, when the end of the season comes, they'll be in the playoffs. I would say probably in that 4, 5, 6 range. Again, like I said earlier, it's a little early. So, I would just say this, Rule. Welcome to how I felt once the Knicks asked him to be their head coach.
Let me jump in right there. Dub. Here's my thoughts on it, and then I'm gonna let Carlton Banks and Tony get in on this. My thought is this: I've not been a down on Mike D'Antoni guy. I want to go ahead and first make sure that I make that point when. And this was prior to the green room and prior to Ain't No Hashtag with Marcus J. So Ruben is giving me the face. Let me just give you a little history because you wasn't hanging out with me every day in them days. Kdub will tell you when you had guys like Mark Jackson and Patrick Ewing, former Knicks, that were up for that job. When they hired Mike D'Antoni, I didn't have a problem with it because I knew that he had success in Phoenix. Kdub told me on day one, that's not the guy we want. It's not going to work. So I'm going to give him credit because he told me that, and he was right. I was wrong on that one. I wasn't down on Mike D'Antoni until the team wasn't winning. But in hindsight, I see that he wasn't given the parts to win. If you look at the team that the Lakers have, yeah, Phil Jackson played coached parts of 11 seasons, won a bunch of titles. I get the whole Phil Jackson thing. I get why people want him. Mike Dunleavy, no, I'm not thinking about Mike Dunleavy. To me, it's a two-man race. I get the Phil Jackson thing, but real talk, Phil Jackson is a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. You know what I mean? He's not going to be there long term. He's not going to be there at all the games. He's going to be somebody that's going to take a whole lot of attention away from the floor and put it squarely on his shoulders simply because of who he is. Ain't going to be no fault of his own. It's going to be his legacy. You're going to be more concerned about your coach with his special chair courtside and the fact that he's not doing the road trip to Oklahoma and Atlanta than you are worrying about what Steve Nash is doing and why he's not playing because of that broken leg and what kind of offense are you going to do with Dwight Howard. He's a center. Can he do the triangle? All those kinds of things. You're going to be thinking about this. You're going to be more concerned about Phil Jackson. They signed Mike D'Antoni to a 4-year contract, 3 with a team option on the 4th year. Not a D'Antoni fan, but I think he's going to do better in Los Angeles than he did in New York, Carlton Banks.
I'll tell you why Phil Jackson is not the coach. It's cause Jerry Buss is tired of his daughter dating him. That's what it is. Plain and simple, man. That's why they forced him out. It wasn't a Kobe thing. It wasn't a money thing. Jerry Buss said, look, dude, you dated my daughter. I need you out of my house, period. All right? That's what it is. You got all this money. You're not dating my daughter. Get out. You don't have to like it, Ruben.
His grown-ass 60-plus-year-old daughter. Okay, Tony,
right.
Tony, what's your thoughts?
Well, I kind of, not necessarily from Jerry Buss's standpoint, but Jim Buss, his son, I guess just had this ongoing feud with Mike Jackson. I saw something somewhere.
Phil Jackson.
Phil Jackson, I'm sorry. Yeah, you know, Mike
Mike Brown, yeah.
Zip Brown, yeah, all of
Mike,
those, all of those people. About Coach Jackson wasn't providing enough entertainment with the game, which is ridiculous because if you're a basketball fan and it's a good team, then you're getting that entertainment that you want. And I kind of agree with Marcus about maybe D'Antoni will now he has a better team to kind of work with, and maybe he can really do something with the Lakers. So
well, look, it's like this. First of all, I never said I wanted Phil Jackson. Let's just get that straight. Ruben never said he wanted Phil Jackson. I wanted two things. One, I wanted a head coach or some semblance of it that will be successful. Two, I think they jumped the gun when they fired Mike Brown. I think they jumped the gun when they hired whatever his name is. Mike D'Antoni. Honestly, last time I checked, and I'm pretty sure Dub will agree with me, Bernie Bickerstaff is 2-0.
Don't do that either.
Now hold on.
Don't do that, yo.
Listen to me.
Don't do that.
Will you listen to me? Listen
Don
to
Chaney did okay when he was interim for New York.
Will you
I mean,
listen to me?
interim coaches is interim.
Oh, wait a minute. Didn't y'all have an interim coach that y'all end up signing?
Yeah.
So, I mean, what are you going to sit here and tell me I can't
All right,
use the
but
interim coach
Bernie
rule?
Bickerstaff been around the league for
I understand
198 years.
Okay.
If he was
And he's-
viable as a head coach long term, he would have already had that job, which he did coincidentally 25 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't
Wait a
do
minute.
that.
Because y'all coach wasn't viable as a head coach when y'all moved him from assistant coach.
The point I'm
to head
making-
coach.
the
No,
point-
but the point you're making is incorrect.
No, the
because
point I'm
if
making
what you're
is we
saying
already
is
been there, done that with Bernie Bickerstaff. If he was the answer, we wouldn't be talking about Phil and Mike and Mike.
I never said he was the answer. The problem
You just
is,
said 2-0 like
No.
it was a big deal.
The problem is that they've made snap judgments 1 week to the next, and instead of sitting down, waiting, and doing what they should have done and taking time to make these two decisions, they've made two decisions in a week
Right.
that have basically destroyed the LA Lakers for at least the next month or so. And furthermore, what's his face, D'Antoni, who knows he's going to be there? He's having leg surgery.
He had it a month ago, yeah.
So he's not even going to be there tonight, tomorrow, whenever. So my thing is, they're making all these decisions. I'm over Kupchak right now. He needs to go because under his term, yes, he's won some titles, but the last 2 years is all his fault. Period. Point blank.
But you know what,
There's
though?
no
But
question
you
with
know
that.
what's something, Dub? I'm going to go ahead and make this last point on the Lakers, and then I don't want to talk about them no more. But here's the thing. Lakers fans remind me of Yankees fans, who remind me of Cowboys fans. We are spoiled as hell. Spoiled. Okay? You sitting here complaining about 2 years of futility when you done won 5 titles in Kobe's tenure. How long he been in Lakers? Since 96? So in 15
16
years,
yes.
15, 16, you got 5 chips in the last 15. So that's an average of 1 every couple years. And you sitting here complaining over the last 2? Really? When as a New York Knicks fan, I have not in my lifetime seen them win a title since 1973, 11 months before my birth, and you sitting here complaining?
That sounds
Have you
like a
lost
Knicks
your
problem.
damn mind? No.
That's a Knicks
No.
Don't sit here and give
You
that.
sitting? No,
That's
I'm
not
giving.
my fault. I'm
Here's
not
why I'm
taking on
giving.
your pain.
Here's why I'm giving
not
you
doing
that.
it.
Here's why I'm giving you that, because as a Yankees fan, I understand what it's like to be obnoxious and arrogant, but I typically try to carry a little humility unless someone pushes me to kind of bust their ass about their team.
Why you got to point at me?
And I don't have no humility
Because
right now.
I had to get you before you said something to me. Dub, we're gonna transition here.
Oh,
We're
this
gonna
is
Dub.
on vacation.
Carmelo Anthony took a lot of flack for being the reason why Mike D'Antoni felt as though it was time for him to leave New York. He ended up quitting. Most people don't like that word, but let's call it what it is. He quit. And a lot of it is because of the perceived fact that he couldn't get along with the star, which was Carmelo Anthony, who came out today and congratulated on his move to Los Angeles. Finish your last point on the Lakers and transition to the Knicks for me.
Well, with the Lakers, man, like I said, they're going to be in the playoffs come the end of the season. It's going to be interesting to see how much of a lead where Steve Nash, who's going to be the extension of the coach on the floor, to see where they take him. You know, it's real up in the air, man. I think that at this particular point, it's good that they changed coaches, because if they would have kept on this path with Mike Brown running that Princeton offense, they would not have been basic as say for the Lakers. In regards to Carmelo Anthony congratulating Mike D'Antoni, hey, you're a professional, you're a grown man. You know, it isn't like D'Antoni did anything specifically against him. You know, that's just being a class act. But I would venture to say that, you know, none of those guys are even concerned with what goes on with the Lakers nor Mike D'Antoni.
Now, I would guess the reason why they're not concerned is because if you look around the National Basketball Association, at this point, 2 weeks in, there's one team that's undefeated. That one team plays in Madison Square Garden, the New York Knicks. I'm going to make my point on this first. I'm going to let you pick up, and then I'll let Big Rube and the crew jump in. Here's my thing on the Knicks. If you look at the 4 games that they played, the first game you played against a Miami Heat team that didn't want to be there. They beat them by 20 points. Great. You can get excited about the first game of the season all you want. fine. They played against a depleted Philadelphia 76ers team that didn't have Andrew Bynum, or they didn't have I can't remember the guy that sprained his ankle in the first quarter. They crushed him. Come out the next game, they crush him again. Now, even a bad team, is difficult to crush them 2 games in a row. But, hey, it is what it is. This is what they did. Then they played against the Dallas Mavericks. Had a little bit of intrigue with that game because you got Tyson Chandler and Jason Kidd on the Knicks. They had won a title a couple years ago in Dallas with the Mavericks. Mark Cuban had a lot of things to say about those 2 guys leaving. So now the Knicks are 4-0. They play tomorrow against Orlando. They really should beat that team because they're a terrible team. But that sets them up for a game in San Antonio against the Spurs. They should go into this game 5-0. What are your thoughts on the Knicks and how they played so far, their rotations, the fact that people consider them an old team, and just jump in on the Knicks. What's your thoughts? I know that's your team, my team. We grew up as little boys and grown men being Knicks fans, but tell me what your thoughts is as an analyst.
They are, if you're an avid New York Knicks follower or what have you, if you've noticed over the 4 games that they started this year as well as the preseason, what you see is that they've taken on a new, well, I won't say new, but they've taken on a different mantra than what you saw under D'Antoni, as well as, and even, what you saw last year. You see a lot more guys committed to defense. You actually see a lot of overpassing in some instances where, Jason Kidd, J.R. Smith, even Carmelo Anthony is making the right pass out of the double team when he's on the block. And everybody is committed to, helping each other out on defense. They're talking. You hear a lot of talking. I don't know. And think about this. You have Rasheed Wallace, who's very vocal on the court. You have Marcus Camby, ex-defensive player. You have Tyson Chandler out there. You have J.R. Smith playing outstanding right now. J.R. Smith is the second leading scorer on the team, and he's coming off the bench. You have Carmelo Anthony, who coincidentally has more block shots than Tyson Chandler at this point in the season. He's consistently diving for loose balls. Individuals are taking that second effort, playing defense. So that right there is something different that we haven't seen from the New York Knicks probably since Jeff Van Gundy days. And it's a breath of fresh air. It's still early once again, but to combat that, it being still early, is that the Knicks still have that good cohesion. They're sharing the ball. They're playing defense. They're helping each other out. So, listen, it's sky's the limit. Hopefully, from a Knicks fan perspective, they could be 8-0 by the end of the week. But, would I say that if it comes Saturday, if they're 6-2, I wouldn't necessarily say that, it's time to get scared or anything like that. Granted, tomorrow against Orlando, they should go out there and handle them. They should go out there and handle them. The test will be Thursday night when they play against San Antonio. I spoke earlier about San Antonio. Then to come back the next night and play a Memphis team, which is a team that actually blew the doors off of Miami last night.
Big road.
So this week right here will definitely give you an idea where the Knicks stand.
Big road.
This is a marathon. This is a bunch of little races. We're 1-4. The Nets. I'm sorry. The Knicks are undefeated. Come All-Star break, we'll kind of see what's going on. I think New York's playing well. Once again, I feel like that. I think they're going to continue to play well until probably January, and then we're really going to see the true Knicks as they see. And hopefully the Lakers can get back on this ride.
I understand why you say that, but as somebody who watches every snap of the, every basket the Knicks have done in the last probably 30 years or more, it's a little bit different. It's the first time I've seen the Knicks with that look that they have now since probably the early 90s, the before the Sprewell, before the Allen Houston. We talking about the Charles Oakley, we talking about the Anthony Mason, we talking about the John Starks, Hubert Davis, Patrick Ewing. We talking about those Knicks. And yeah, they ain't played nobody. Real talk, I'm not under any illusions because I said that when I spoke on them a few minutes ago. They ain't played nobody. They played Dallas, and Dallas had him up, was up, by 10 and had him looking not so good for a little while. but then they came back. First time in Knicks history they've won the first 4 games of the season by 10 points or more. Okay, so this ain't no this. I'm not saying they're gonna go 82-0. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying they're gonna win the chip. I'm not saying that either. But I think that we can say that we're looking at a team that's going to be a viable option, that's going to probably host a playoff game. And I listen to a lot of New York City sports radio, and you got a lot of cats up there talking about the Brooklyn Nets are better than the Knicks. I ain't seen it, Big Road.
One last thing. After Mike D'Antoni got hired, they pulled the Lakers game off Christmas. If that doesn't tell you anything, it should.
I didn't know about that.
Yep.
Kdub, I'm going to give you the final word on the segment, brother.
Hey man, the Knicks are definitely a different team, different team from last year and even the last couple of years. And to kind of piggyback on, the Nets, I'll just leave you with this: the Nets are, their mission for the year is to try and beat or be better than the New York Knicks, who finished in 7th place last year. The Knicks, however, their goal is to be in the top echelon of the Eastern Conference, up there with the Boston and the Miami. So that right there puts in perspective how high the Brooklyn Nets are putting their bar and how high the Knicks are putting their bar. So just a little something to keep in perspective.
That's what it is. Ain't no half stepping, Marcus J. We're gonna leave it there, dog. Appreciate you joining us. Periodically, we know that we can't have you every single week, but anytime we can get you on and do a little bit of analysis of the National Basketball Association, we all better for it. So we appreciate it, brother. We're going to talk to you soon, man.
No doubt. Game of the week, San Antonio against New York on Thursday.
That's what it is. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. We're going to leave it there. We're going to take the next break. When we come back, we're going to move into the socially conscious and entertainment hour. We're going to do some analysis of the election cycle. We want to know what your thoughts are. If you're listening to us right now, you really want to put your thinking cap on and you want to call us up, 804-447-0601. Be down with us. Marcus J. No half stepping. We're going to be back in a minute.
Hey, y'all. It's Ayana on the check-in from Roanoke, VA, and I'm listening to Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J. Check him out on globalscaleradio.net.